welcome. This is our December Schoolnet webinar. It's crazy to think that it's already December 11th. But this is technology enhanced items in Schoolnet. We are recording, and the recording of this session will be posted on your splash page once we get it finalized and uploaded. I am going to continue to drop the bit.ly in the chat for anyone that is coming in new. I'll try to remember to do that throughout the session, but here we go. I am going to cut my camera off just to try and save a little bit of bandwidth since I am presenting from my screen as well, but I will return at the end. Let me cut that. There we go. Okay. And let me go full screen here. All right, so once again, welcome to our December Schoolnet webinar, Technology Enhanced Items in Schoolnet. The bit.ly is in the chat for you to be able to access, and I will continue to drop it there every so often as I see new people join. All right, so we were supposed to have Catherine Simone with us, who is the implementation manager for Pearson, but she was unable to make it. If you've ever had any experience with Catherine, she is amazing, and we are so lucky to have her as a resource, and she hates that she is missing this with you guys. Her email address is right here. Please feel free to reach out to her and myself at any time you have any Schoolnet questions. We are happy to assist. And my name is Rebecca Stokes. I am the product manager for DPI with Schoolnet and Canvas. So if you are also a user of Canvas, we have a webinar tomorrow on accessibility in Canvas. But let's get started with today. First thing is CEU questions. You do get 0.1 CEUs, which is equal to 1 hour of credit for participating in the live webinar. Your district decides what type of credit it is. So I will send a certificate of completion, and it will say the date that you had the session, and it will you'll have to fill in your name. It'll have the title based off of feedback. Excuse me. Before it was emailing a kind of a blanket certificate, but some feedback was asking if you could have the specific title for the webinar. So I am going to do that this time. So I will email that to you, but you do have to be in the webinar for the entire time or up to the hour. I know sometimes I have gone over, and I understand everyone has their schedule. So if you do have to leave early, just know that you do have to be in the webinar for that full hour in order to get that 0.1 CEU. Okay, and if you have anyone that watches the recording afterwards, we unfortunately cannot give credit for watching the recorded webinars. You have to be in the session live with us. During the session, please feel free to drop any questions that you have in the chat. I am going to be trying to monitor that as we get to different breaks within the slide deck. So if I don't answer your question immediately, just know that I will get to it, I promise. Okay. Keep going. Thank you so much for being here, taking time out of your day, especially as I know the holiday season gets very chaotic as a former teacher myself. So I appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here with us to learn more about Schoolnet. Okay, so we do have a packed agenda today, but we are going to try and stay on time as much as possible. So the first, just briefly discuss what technology enhanced items are, what the correlation is from Schoolnet's items to the EOC and EOG items that you'll see, where you can find technology enhanced items that are already available for you in Schoolnet, and then we'll talk about how you can create your own or how you can convert your own. So I will show you examples of both of those as well. And then, of course, it says questions at the end, but please feel free to ask your questions throughout the session. You do not have to save those for the end, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and hop on in. So first thing, technology enhanced items, or TEI, are just computer delivered items that would include a special interaction such as numeric entry or text selection, the drag and drop. So it's just anything that is using a specialized interaction. So basically anything outside of multiple choice or open response would be considered a technology enhanced item. I know that you all are familiar with the NC Test tutorial webpage, but I do have it linked here on slide 7 where you can access their tutorial. I do know that they have added more tutorial items, whereas before I believe it was only one TEI item type per grade level band. So I know that they have increased the number of tutorial technology enhanced items for students. So please feel free to click that link and explore that webpage. Okay, so most important is what's the correlation? Because you don't want your students to practice technology enhanced items in Schoolnet if they aren't remotely anything close to what the students are going to see. So I do have on slide 8 this correlation document within Schoolnet. It has been updated and this is on your splash page as well. So if you scroll past the webinars on your splash page, you're going to see this document. But if you click on slide 8 onto the actual document, and I know I'm going into somewhere else. It should still be sharing, but please let me know in the chat if you are not seeing that document on the screen, okay? But what I've done is just listed the EOC or EOG type on the left, and it has been updated to include that multi-select and cluster question type as well. And then in the middle column, you're going to see the name of the Schoolnet item because some of the names are different. So obviously drag and drop is the same, but if you wanted to practice a multi-select, then you might not be aware that that's what a checklist item in Schoolnet is. So I wanted to make sure that we created this correlation document just to explain all of that. And then you also see on the right-hand side what item bank these items are found in. So majority of our TEI items are in our new KDS bank. So you'll actually see KDS listed for all of these. And then you'll see some like numeric entry, you can find that in the classroom bank and Schoolnet bank. But majority of them you are only going to find in the KDS because the ones from the curriculum writers at NC State, the ones that say NC DPI, are majority multiple choice. We do get some numeric entry and some short answer, but all the rest are going to be multiple choice. That's why I wanted to make sure you knew what banks that they were located in as well. Now, why would this information be important to know what bank it's in? Well, if you click not this first link, so that's just going to give you item types, and not this second link. I'll show you what that is in just a second. But if you click this third link, that's going to give you the item count numbers for every item bank we have. So let me click here. And at the bottom of the screen, you're going to see all of the item banks that we have within Schoolnet. And then there's two that are going to say content updates. So you're going to see one that says NCDPI content updates, and you're going to see one that says KDS as well. I'm sorry, Leslie, I will post that right now. The reason that you have those two tabs is because we get new items from those banks. So from NCDPI, we get 2 uploads a year, one in the fall and one in the spring. So anytime we get new questions, we're going to put the date at the top and we're going to tell you how many items we got, whether it was in the classroom bank or the benchmark bank. And so that's for you to be able to go into the filters and search by date if you only wanted the brand new questions, okay? But if I go to the KDS item bank where most of our TEI items are, if I click on that tab, then you're going to see all of the item types and how many there are per subject, okay? So if you were a ELA teacher and you wanted your students to check or to practice a checklist question and you taught 8th grade, you have 347 that are already available to you. So wanted to make sure that you knew this document existed, number one, and how to access it. It is also on your splash page, and I can show you that at the end of this to show you all the information that you have access to there. But if we go back to this document right here, another thing that I want you to know that you have is this middle link. If you click on that link, it's actually going to take you to DPI's website where they tell you what test it is and what technology enhanced items you can expect to see. Like I said, I know as a former teacher myself, this was always really hard to find. So I did not want you to get lost in Google or the website. So I wanted to link that for you so that you knew what type of questions your students should be practicing. Okay. All right. So let's go back here. And let's keep going. All right, so now that we know how we can find out how many items we have, how can we actually use our filters in order to find those things? So to do this, I am going to hop into the training site. Go here, try and make it a little bit larger. And I'll put the bit.ly in the chat for anyone new. Okay, so I am in the training site, but if you are searching for questions and then you're going to build a test, or if you build a test and then add your questions, either way, it's going to be the same thing. So I'm just going to come here to the find and I'm going to do find items, but you're still going to see the same look. But what you can do is you can click down here where it says all filters. And one thing I need to make sure that I do is to take out some of these other subjects. So I'll just keep it ELA. And you would not have to do this because your filters would already be there. So you would not have to uncheck things. But if I wanted ninth grade, then what I can do is filter by the item type here. Okay, so this is where I would be able to check if I wanted gridded, open response, inline, matching, checklist, hotspot, drag and drop. You do not have to worry about clicking this one. The click, stick, click, drop is drag and drop. So I know sometimes people will check that box, but they're actually going to be labeled as drag and drop. And then you can do your gap match, and those are going to be your technology enhanced items. You also can do the task items as well. And then you just click apply filters. And what it's going to do is it's going to only show you the technology enhanced items. You of course can still go in and add multiple choice items, but if you specifically wanted to look for technology enhanced, that's how you can use your filters in order to clear out some of those items. Okay. All right, let me go back here. Okay, so another thing that we wanted to make sure that you saw was the student view of these. I know that you are aware that you can view your assessments in student view after you create them, but just wanted to show you on here as well. So if you are looking for number entry, that's what we call gridded, and this is what that looks like. Students will have a text box that they type in. You also have an option of including a bubble grid where it will show bubbles underneath here, and the students would fill in the bubbles for the answer to be filled in here. Okay. We have open response. You do have the option of 3 different text editors in open response. This one is just showing a basic one where the students just simply type. You also have the option of including a rich content editor if you wanted students to have access to be able to include links or to have spell check or insert an image, any of those things, you can give them a rich content editor. And you also have an equation editor that you can have students to be able to access for their open response questions. Keep going. This is what the hotspot looks like. So this is similar, but not exact to text selection, because if you have practiced text selection with your students, you know that it might have a list of numbers here at the top. Once they, yes, Michelle, you do have to check the box to turn on equation editor. It is not going to be there by default, but I can show you where that is. And if the students select the number, it's going to actually pop down to the bottom of the screen. So it's similar in that it does highlight the answer, but it is not going to pop it down to another area of the screen, which is why I say it's similar, but not exact. With a hotspot, you have these boxes around the different points that you designate, and the student would click it and it'll turn like a bright blue and have like a highlight around it, letting them know that that is the answer they have selected. Okay, drag and drop looks the same, where you can have different containers that the students would either drag a shape to, or you can have a container that has an image and they can drag text to. You get to designate what those containers look like, what they say, and then of course the answer choices that they would drag and then drop. This is a gap match, which is similar to targeted drop, where you might have an opinion piece, like in this example, and students would drag the text and drop it into the box, and it would then fill in the box to look like this. Okay, you also have a graphic gap match, which is great for labeling. So in this example, there was a part of a boat where the students had to label the different parts. You can see the boxes on the image, and then the students would just drag the term to the correct box. Okay, and then here are just some item features for you of the different types that we have. So just for like the gridded response, letting you know what it accepts. Up here for the drag and drop, knowing how many containers and answer choices you can have, things like that. Okay, so let's actually get into the meat of this, which is showing you how you can take questions that you already like that may be multiple choice and how you can convert them. Okay, so I'm going to hop back into the training site. Now, by no means am I saying that you need to convert your items in order to have technology enhanced. We saw from that spreadsheet that there are a lot of technology enhanced already created for you. This is just if you have questions that you really like the question that it already is, but you just don't like what type of question it is, okay? So I'm going to go in like I am creating a test. So give me just a second. Um, so we'll say 8th. I'm just going to say math since I did ELA earlier. We'll say 6th grade math. I'm not going to worry about any of these settings. And let me generate. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select some items. I'm going to specifically choose to use the NCDPI Classroom Bank because this bank is the ones that are written by the same content writers as your EOG and EOC. So I know that these are going to be questions that are going to match the same type of question my students are going to see at the end of the year, but I also know that those are going to be all multiple choice. So I'm going to select that bank. And then I'm going to go through and just select a few questions. Obviously, if I were creating this for my students, then I would want to sort by standards and things like that. But just for example, I'm just going to choose these 4. And I don't think anyone new has joined, but I'm still going to post the bit.ly over there in the chat. Okay, so I have 4 multiple choice items here, but I don't want them to be multiple choice. I might want there to be a drag and drop or one of the other types that I had. So there's 2 ways that you can do this. One way I recommend, and the other I don't recommend, but I'm still going to tell you both ways just so you can make that informed decision, okay? So the first way, if you notice right underneath where it says multiple choice, it says item from item bank, okay? So this is letting you know that this question is associated with an item bank, but there is a word here that says unlinked. So what I can do is I can unlink this question. And now this is mine. This is my copy. It does not change anything within the item bank. This is just my copy. And you notice now I see the change type button. Now the reason why I do not recommend unlinking is because depending on which type of question you choose, I'm trying to remember I think maybe drag and drop. There's a few of them where when you select that to change it to that type, it actually erases the question. Okay, so this one, it kept the question, but I lost my answer choices. Okay, so that is why I don't recommend this method because I want to be able to still have the same answer choices and same question that was there originally. Okay, but you definitely can do this. You could type in your own answer choices, but I don't want to do that much. So I'm actually going to delete this question so I can show you the method that I do recommend personally. So instead of unlinking, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my question and I'm going to hit duplicate. What this is going to do is it's going to give me an exact copy of the question. So it's going to pop it down to the very end. Just to keep myself in order, I always drag it underneath the original question. So now I have the original that still shows that unlink word. And now I have the copy, which is now mine, and I can change the type. Okay, so the reasoning for this and the reason why I recommend it is because then I can see the original here and I can copy and paste anything that I need in order and into my copy. Okay, so I'm going to change this. And what I might do is I might just keep drag and drop just so I can show you as an example. So if I change this to drag and drop, then what I can do is I could take this question and I'm going to copy that question and I'm actually going to have that be one of my containers. And I'm going to delete the other two out. And the reason for this is that then they could drag the answer into this container of what the question was. So my question content might change to um, read the equation below, select your answer, and drop it into the container. You can have that say whatever you want it to, okay? Oh, I forgot a comma. There we go. And then I can come to my answer choices. Notice for my answer choices, I could have images here, I can have text, I have lots of choices. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to my original and let's see, I could copy this, but I might be able to remember. So 18, 29, 47. I can just type in 18, 29, 47, and I think the last one was 81. Yes, 81. 81. So I decided to type them in, but I could have copied and pasted whatever was there into my answer choices below. I have the option, if I had multiple containers, I can always add another one back if I wanted to. You can have up to 8, but I'm going to just keep it simple and keep it the 1. But if I had multiple, I could say that students could drop this, excuse me, I could say that they could drop it into multiple. But since I just have the one container, that's why it's only showing 1. But if I added another, then notice that I now have 2 options. So I could say that students could drop this specific answer choice into more than one if I wanted them to. So I'm actually going to delete that out. Let me go back to my original. The correct answer was 29. And I still have an exclamation mark here because I have not marked a correct answer. So it's going to give you that kind of notification that something is wrong with the question until you have completed all of the things. So I'm going to scroll down here and I have to choose a correct answer. So I know the correct answer is 29. Notice I now have my green check. I can choose to do default scoring, which is going to assign points to each answer. Or if this had multiple parts and multiple things that students needed to drop into a container, I could do an all or none scoring where they had to get every piece in that container in order to get credit for the question. So completely up to you how you decide to do that. I can change the points here. So if I needed this to be worth 10 points, if it was a 10 question assessment, I can change this to be 10 points instead of just the default one. So you still have those options there. And my standards alignment, that's all going to remain the same. I can choose to give them a tool or manipulative, excuse me, just like usual as well. So I like the way that is. I'm going to click to save it. And then let's see if this will load quickly for me. Then I can come to TestNav to preview it, and I can see this was my original question, my multiple choice, and I can see that now this is my drag and drop. So I can see my directions. Students can drag the option here. If they tried to drag this one, notice it will not let them because I said they can only drop one thing into this bank. So there's a little error message over here letting the students know that you can only drop in one answer choice. If they change their mind, they can pop it back out, drag a different one, right? So that is how I converted to a drag and drop, but let's do one other example. So let me get out of here. So let's say I went to this one. I'm going to again duplicate. I'm going to drag my copy underneath the original. Okay, so this is another multiple choice where it looks like there's an equation, but I could change this to a inline response. Okay, notice my question was erased. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I always say to keep the original. So I'm going to go to my original. I'm going to copy that whole question. I'm going to paste it here. And it says that my question must contain at least one gap because the students have to drag something to that box. And that is located right underneath here where it says insert new gap. So I'm going to insert it. And now I still have my exclamation mark because I don't have any answer choices. So I can come to my original, see if I can remember 37, 43, 117. Again, I could copy and paste. So 37, I already forgot what it was because I started talking. 43, 117. And no, I cannot remember what that last one was. 123. Okay. And I know that my correct answer was 117. Again, I can change my points. I can choose if there's multiple correct answers. I could do all or none scoring. I can keep it at default scoring, all of the same things. And I'm going to click save. And then let's preview it. Okay, so here's my original multiple choice. And now here is my technology enhanced, where the students would click the box that says choose, and they would select their correct answer. They can change it. So the gap match is where they actually drag it and drop it. I misspoke earlier. Inline is where, to me, it still looks like multiple choice, except they're just selecting one instead of selecting the bubble beside it, and it fills in the box. Okay. Now, what I do as just a best practice, I go back and I make sure to delete those original if I am going to use this test to give it to my students. You could use this test as just I'm converting items in this test and not actually deliver it to students and save the questions. But if you are going to deliver it to students, make sure you delete those original question types so that they don't have the same question twice. So I would just come through and delete my multiple choice. And this is going to be a mixture of different items. So I might choose to leave this one as multiple choice, right? But one of the most important steps is, let's say I'm finished. This is just going to be an exit ticket. I just want those 3 questions. I'm going to return to my test details. And notice right below the item types, okay? It just tells me drag and drop, inline, multiple choice. And there's nothing located right here. As soon as I click finalize, now you see this option, add all items to item bank, okay? So, excuse me. So any item that you unlinked or duplicated that were your copies, you now have the option of saving all of them to an item bank at once because you don't want to do all this work and then constantly redo it. So you want to make sure you save any of your questions that you edited at all to an item bank. So what I'm going to do is click add all items to item bank. And I already have one in here just from previous trainings, but I'm going to create a new bank and I would say TEI Math 6th grade. I can give it a description, converted items, and then what I can do is I can add other people to this bank. So if my other 6th grade math teachers, if they were converting some as well, we could have this bank that we share together and I could add them to it. You can give them manage rights, meaning that they can add and delete, or you could give them view only rights if you wanted, but you can add people to your banks. And then I would click create bank and save selection. And now if I go over on the left-hand side to my item banks, I should see the one I just created, which was 6th grade math, and I have 2 items in it because I saved those items to that bank. Let's see. I did have a question. So Vicki, I will reach out to you after this one and tell you what more than likely happened and help you locate those. Okay. So now, of course, we are limited on time, so I'm not going to show you how to convert all of them, but don't worry, I will show you something I've done. Yes, so Christy, you can share them with anyone in your county. It does not just have to be your school. Great question. As long as you can search them because they are within the Schoolnet platform, meaning that they are in PowerSchool, then yes, you can share that bank with anyone. So this would be a great collaboration piece. If you're deciding to convert items, this would be a great way to involve all of the grade level and subject level teachers at the district to be able to kind of convert these and work on these. But of course, again, I am not saying you have to convert these. This is just a, if you want to, I want you to know how to do it. And yes, so Schoolnet does offer read aloud. That is in the accommodation setting of the student's profile, and I'd be happy to reach out to you after this to show you where that is located. Okay, what was I saying? Okay, I remember, sorry. So I'm gonna skip ahead for just a second to show you, if you go to slide 28, for those of you that might have wanted to see a different one than what I selected, what I've done is I've created this document for you, and this is also located on your splash page, and I'll show you where that is, where I have shown in a tutorial video, kind of like this, how to convert all the item types. So they're going to all start off as multiple choice, and I show you how you can convert every single type here in a short little tutorial. And then I also show you how you can create your own, which is what I'm about to show you. So if you wanted to see hotspot, and I did not show you that in this just because of time, you can access that right here to be able to learn how to convert hotspots. Okay, so let's go back to the training site so I can show you, if you are interested, how to create your own items. It's very similar to converting, except you don't have a question to copy and paste. So let's go back like I am, and instead, yeah, I'll just have to go through here. So this would be creating TEI, and we'll do science this time since I did math before. There we are. And I taught fifth grade science, so that's what I'll choose. Let's choose our science standards. And I know, let's see, looks like Melinda, like I said, I'll reach out to show you this, but wanted to let you know that it's in the test settings where you can enable the accommodations, and then it does have to be turned on in the student's profile, but I will reach out to show you how to do that. But while I was here, might as well show you that this is where you turn on accommodations in the test. Okay, so let's generate this test. And I have the option of use items from item bank or author new items. So since this is creating questions, let's author new items. And I get to choose what type I want to create. So let's see, I did the inline and I did the drag and drop. Just because someone asked this earlier, let me show you the open response. Okay, so for open response, I again would have to type in my question here, or if you had a question from another resource or from if you have like a textbook, but it's digital and they had questions that you wanted to use, you can copy and paste. The only thing you cannot copy and paste is images. If you have an image that you want to be included in a question, you will need to upload that image. If you copy and paste the image, it will give you an error and will not let you finalize and schedule the test because of that error. So want to go ahead and let you know that. But let's see, I think I said science here. So if my question was explain the process of the water cycle. Okay, that's what I want their question to be. I can choose right here for it to be a simple text editor where they do not have any of the options. They are just typing. I can do the rich text formatting, and I can also choose to include spell check. So you can give them rich text formatting without spell check if you would like. And this is where my equation editor, and then it's going to give me some options. So I can do 3-5, I can do 6-8, and I can do 9-12. And notice that it says editor plus, and then this one says text plus math editor. So since this is fifth grade, I'm going to keep it on this option just so we can see what it looks like. The answer sheet options, I do have a few options here of like if I wanted to give like a certain number of answer sheet pages, I could do that. If I wanted to hide the visibility of the zero bubble, answer sheet response instructions, right now it's going to default to say see test booklet. That's going to be if you actually like print it out, okay? This is where I assign how many points this question is going to be worth. So let's just say this one's going to be worth 5 points. Now, I do have to align a standard. So the thing about creating your own is it's not going to already have that standard there. So if I went in here, it's going to already have my filters, science, fifth grade. And let's see, I got to remember where this is. Okay, clearly I know that this is not the water cycle, but just for the sake of time, we're going to pretend that it is. So I'm going to select that standard to align to my question. And I'm going to click save. Okay. And now I'm going to go ahead and preview this. Okay. So explain the process of the water cycle. They would type their answer. Here's my math symbols. Again, I chose the third through fifth grade. So this is what the equation editor looks like for them to be able to type their text out and then insert a math symbol as needed. Okay. So just wanted to show you what that looked like. I can clear all of it as a student and notice that it is going to tell them this is human scoreable. Excuse me, just meaning that the teacher will have to score this. Okay, so let's go back here and let me add another item that we're going to create. And let's see here. Did that. Let's do the gap match. Okay. Again, I have to do a question or insert a question. So let's just say, um, what is the first step of the water cycle? I'm just going to stick to water cycle just because that is what came to the top of my head. Okay, so we might list out all of the steps and then just leave the first one blank if we wanted to. Um, there we go. I can insert my gap there. I can put an image in there. Just remember, you do have to upload it. And then I can give my answer choices where they would actually drag and drop. So let's see, condensation, evaporation, see how much of this I actually remember. Let's see, that's the one from plants. You know what? Just for time, we're gonna just have those two because my brain is not going to quickly think on the fly. We're just gonna have evaporation and condensation there. Um, let's come down here. I do have to say which one it is. So evaporation, I have to give it our standard. Again, I know this is not the correct standard. We'll say it's that one and save. And now I can preview what this looks like as a student before I actually deliver it to my students, because we always want to preview beforehand. So this is my gap match where it's like drag and drop, but they're actually dragging it into the box, and then that word will now appear there instead. They can change their mind and drop the other one, but that gives you an idea of what that looks like. Okay, so now another important piece here, okay, because again, we don't want to lose all of our hard work. Okay, so when I finalize, I want to add these items to my bank. So that's one of the most important steps. So don't forget to do that part. And we'll just drop it in our one that we created with our math questions. And I can save those to my bank. And now my item bank should say 4 questions or 4 items. It does because those are the 4 that I have converted or created. Okay. All right. Let's see. I don't see any questions other than the 2 that I already said that I would make sure to get to. Um, so, okay. Let's see here. Let's go back here. And I had skipped over a few of those. Want to make sure that I've covered everything. Add the items to the bank. Yes, did. I did. Okay. All right. So let's talk about talked about that. Let's talk about this document real quick. So I know that I told you that this document would show you videos on creating and converting, but I also know that not everyone likes tutorial videos. So if you clicked this first link here, it's actually going to take you, oh, apparently I linked the wrong thing. That's always fun, realizing, oh, I just clicked the wrong item, sorry. It's actually going to take you to our quick reference documents. So if you prefer a PDF printout version, then what you can do is come here, and if you wanted to know how to create a gap match item, it's going to be in the items section, and you can click on that link, and it's going to give you a PDF version of step-by-step how to do that. So you could print this out and keep it by your computer if this was something that you were going to do often, or you could just bookmark it, but it's going to give you images and step-by-step how to create that item. Now, there are not going to be any quick reference documents for converting because this is a newer thing that we've been showing. So Pearson has not created converting documents yet. So if you are wanting to learn about converting, then the tutorial videos I've created for you are going to be the best option there. Okay. Um, check my time. Okay, we got 15 minutes. So one thing that I've referenced a few times, let me go to our production site and go into Schoolnet. So if you are a teacher, on your splash page, if you scroll down past the webinars, then you're going to see right here is the correlation document, that very first document that I showed you, matching the EOG or EOC type question to the technology enhanced. And the one right below that, the green one, this is the document of how to create and convert these items. So both of those are located here, as well as the item bank counts that I showed you at the beginning as well. So all of that is located here. I did get feedback last week asking for me to provide a explanation of what these things were. So I will be working on getting that updated to your splash page as well. Okay, let's go back here. All right, so the only other thing other than questions that I wanted to show you is our resources that we just have tagged here at the end of all of our webinars. Like our training site that you always have access to. This is our YouTube channel. The Schoolnet resources here, that's going to be the resource that I just showed you with all of the PDFs for you to be able to reference. So all of those are here, just kind of bookmarked for you. But let's go back here really quick. It looks like I have questions. Let's see here. Okay. So what question type would I choose if I want a question where they have to type the answer, but the computer grades it instead of the teacher? Um, the answer is just greater than and nothing else. So a question that you want the computer to grade, you're going to want to not do open response because open response has to be teacher graded. So what you would want to do, let me get out of there, and you would want to Oh, I didn't mean to click that. I meant to click down here, create. Um, you would want to do the gridded, um, or if you wanted to, I mean, of course, you could do the other choices where it was like multiple choice and you could insert the symbols and that would be graded. But the only one that is teacher graded for the print and online is the open response. All others, students would either like match or check, but if you actually wanted them to type something in, that would be the gridded response. And while we're talking about that, just know anything that says online only, you cannot print a paper copy. Okay. So if you had a student that for some reason needed a paper copy, if you had online only questions, it cannot be printed because those are strictly computer based questions. All right, let's see. All different passages. Okay. So yeah, so I can show you how to do that. Let's see. So sorry guys, there I'm just reading the things that are in the chat. So if I were to, let's see, create and create gridded. So let's see. So for the gridded, it looks like the answer is whole number, decimal, or fraction. So I think if you want an answer that's not numbers or not a decimal or not a fraction, then you would have to go with open response, which would have to be teacher scored. Or you would need to put it in a like checklist, multiple choice, something like that. Because for gridded, it does have to be whole number, decimal, or fraction. All right, let's see. How do we get to the splash page? So if you are on your homepage, when you click on the Schoolnet icon in NCED Cloud, I'm in a teacher view, but it's at the very top of your page. I think yours, it might be over on the right-hand side, but it should say NCHBIIS Schoolnet splash page. So as soon as you click the Schoolnet icon, it should be at the top, but it might be over to the right-hand side over here, whereas I know mine takes up the whole area, but it should be the first thing that you see when you log in. Let's see. Yes, so I can show you that ELA question in just a second. Let me try to keep this on technology enhanced, and then I will show you how you can do that. So the gap match could be used for that purpose, but they would not type the answer in. The teacher would still have to have those gap match items already created for the student to drag it into the option. So as long as you don't mind actually typing it in, but if you wanted the student to type in that greater than less than symbol, that's where the problem is. But Andrea had a great thought of you could put a gap in the middle of two numbers and the students could drag the correct symbol to the item, which would, of course, definitely work. But if you were specifically wanting them to type it, then it would have to be in a open response. Okay. All right. So one last thing, and then for the first time ever, I actually finished early. So the last thing I wanted to show you is this is also on your splash page, just letting you know our next sessions that we have coming up. Um, in January, we have Sharing is Caring, which is all about co-authoring on January 8th. You don't have to worry about the January 22nd unless you are a Schoolnet admin for your district. That one will not show on your teacher page, but just want to let you know that we are going to take a deep dive into specifically co-authoring in January. But as far as technology enhanced is concerned, I don't think I had any more questions in the chat about that specifically. I did have some other questions that I'll show some users once we are finished. But that is all that I have for you today. I appreciate you all so much for taking time out of your day and joining me for technology enhanced items. I hope to see you in January, and I hope you all have a wonderful holiday, some much needed rest for you, and some time just with your families. So I thank you all so much.